Make way for the bad guy.
What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Crowd Pleaser, the podcast that brings you the inside scoop on what it takes to be a male entertainer in today's age. I'm your host, Cesar the Crowd Pleaser, and with me today in person on his sofa is Axl Rains. How you doing, Axl?
I'm good. How about yourself today, Cesar?
I'm doing pretty well, man. It's Sunday fun day, so we went through a long week, and now we kind of get to hang out with our friends tonight at work. So we're recording this podcast ahead of time so I can get it out to you ladies and gentlemen next week. This is episode 19, and this one's going to be a little more catered to males or women that want to help their friends make a little more money, and it's going to be so you want to be a male stripper. And I have to emphasize the male part because I am going to assume that the female side of it is extremely different. But as usual, we want to go ahead and mention La Bear Dallas. This is our home office where Axl and myself both operate and perform out of 5 nights a week, Wednesday to Sunday. You name what kind of event, we have it. We can show you a good time. You just got to come out and enjoy the show, enjoy the music, enjoy the people watching. It's a really great time. And at the very least, it's one fantastic social experiment. Next is our Patreon. Thank you to all our patrons out there that have continued to support the show. That has also bled into my reality show that I will talk later. And it helps us really know that we're doing something that you enjoy listening to and can continue to do. So thank you so much. If you're on the Patreon, you'll catch behind the scenes footage of this podcast as well as the reality show and maybe even the creation of acts and whatnot. I throw on there a bunch of stuff randomly. And yeah, so you can donate as little as $1 a show, and pretty much you can cancel whenever you want. You can up it, you can lower it, doesn't matter. It's complete free will. We really appreciate it. We'll start giving away items like t-shirts that I just had printed out and stuff like that. So definitely keep us posted for that. You can catch it at patreon.com/crowdpleaser. Pretty much my one-stop shop for all my events and whatnot. All right, well, that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in, Axl. So it's been extremely popular since the Magic Mike movies for men to consider being a male entertainer. I think every female goes through that same thing. You know, strippers are typically just there to pay through college and whatnot. And it's true, it is beneficial while they're going to school because they have flexible hours and whatnot. So I feel like since we have a mixed group that listens, or listeners, we might as well give the guys a heads up so they're kind of stacking the deck in their favor and set up for success when they're trying to apply for a job at La Bear or any other kind of male entertainment industry that's out there, either a private troupe or a road show and stuff like that. This is primarily going to focus on a stationary venue, but a lot of things come across. So first, a disclaimer we're going to throw out there is that it is a tough job. It's tip-based, strictly tip-based, which means that you might walk out of there without money sometimes. You might walk out of there owing money sometimes. And you need to understand that going into it. So if you have a job, keep that job. If you have some savings, then plan on using it because the money is not going to flow right away.
You're going to need it.
Yes, very, very, very true. You have to go in with the mindset that it's going to be a minute before I could build up the clientele and the rapport and the reputation that will allow you to start generating more consistent income.
Yeah, it's, man, I remember when we first started, like it was yesterday, and man, you get real good at eating rotisserie chickens that are really cheap from like Costco or Sam's Club.
Yep.
Because they're super cheap and
they're good on your diet.
It's just easy, cheap. I'm not sure it's the healthiest thing for you, but you look good off of it. But yeah, I think you and me have kind of agreed on a general consensus that people start to reach their maybe 80% of what they're gonna get, kind of the 80-20 rule, in about 8 months normally.
Roughly, yep.
Yeah, 8 months seems like you're at about 80% of your capacity at that point.
If you have the gift of gab, a silver tongue, or maybe you are ridiculously good looking, then that could be dropped down to as little as 5 or 6 months. But you always want to plan for the worst case scenario. So definitely consider that when you're going into this. You will see a certain influx of money from time to time because the regulars do tend to test out the new guys and see what they can get away with or what they're about and how far they can push their money. And so there might be nights where you're like, oh man, I made it, but it's simply because of that exploration aspect.
I've noticed an interesting fact that when you say they may test the new guys, I would actually go as far to say that they take advantage of the new guys. I remember when I first started, I had people tell me all the time, oh, don't worry, Alex loves me, or, I know the owner, this is okay. Like, we need to stay back here longer. And they pressure you so much before you realize, and you're like, no, I shouldn't really be doing this. What they're doing is actually taking advantage because they know they can.
Yep.
And so we have some people that won't even hardly come in the club unless there's new guys there that they can actually kind of take advantage of.
Yep, very true. So that leading into it, when you start working at, let's just say LeBaire for right now, you want to start off being a server or a shot guy. If you have the body already, then typically we will start you off as a shot guy, where you start with your shirt off and you go around selling tube shots. If not, then you're a server, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with either of those. They both work more or less the same way. The main goal of this is so you can observe and learn the industry. When you're not waiting tables and you have a minute or two, you look on stage, you see what those guys are doing. You kind of see some of the interactions. Like, granted, you're not like a voyeur watching guys do their dances and stuff like that, but you're kind of starting to get a feel for the environment. The other part of that is that you are automatically coming into contact with the majority of women in the club. What this does is you begin to build a reputation and rapport. So when the time comes that you do step on that stage, you will have a baseline of income because the people that appreciated you as a waiter or a shot guy will still appreciate you dancing. And granted, they're not going to make it rain on you, nothing crazy like that. You're not going to coerce them to do things, but they'll be like, you know what? He's really good. I hope he stays. I'm going to throw some money his way. And that will actually go a long way when it comes to your first couple months dancing. Sound about right, Axl?
Yeah, I think so. We took 2 different routes. I went straight to dancing on side stages and main stages, like within about 2 weeks. And I was working another job at the time and living in Austin. Sorry. But I know you started off as you were a server first, and then you went straight to dancing. Yep. And
by the time I went full-time dancer was a week before you started dancing. It was kind of funny.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it happened. But I think, watch as much as you can because, be a voyeur. Watch the guys. Talk with the girls about the guys is actually one of the best things. You don't want to camp out at tables too long because then you're going to have guys get upset at you. But, I think the women will tell you everything that you need to know.
Very true, very true. I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, you're there to impress the women. So the next step in progression, in natural progression, obviously Axl just said that there are exceptions to the rules when you look phenomenal like he did at the time. Well, you still do. But the next thing is you're going to start dancing on slow nights. And even though there's going to be less money floating around, what it does is it lets you get the kinks out. It lets you try out what you're going to do on stage when it's nothing but regulars or a few of the regular people, so you can't develop a bad name. And you find out the guys will give you critiques on whether a move is good, a move is bad. You get to try out how your clothing is. It gives you time to start getting a feel for tearaways, have tearaways made. That's another important thing. There's only so long that guys will lend you their tearaways and stuff like that because it gets worn in the knees and just piss poor quality control or care of them. And so that will happen, and that way you could still work the busy nights, Fridays and Saturdays, when there's a lot of first-timers in the club, and you could still serve tables and be a shot guy to interact with those.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the ideal way to do it. If you have another job and you can work both, and then you can come in on a slower night and not go on main stage because you're not going to have to tip out, which you're not coming in the negative already.
Yep.
What do you have to lose by going up there? But if you're humble and you pick guys' brains and you watch the way they move, if you try to learn yourself, one of the techniques that I used was in the back. I would usually take about 30 minutes and just ask all the guys, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? I saw you do this on main stage. How do you do it? And you'd have a lot of guys that are like, well, here, you just got to learn to move your hips like this, or move your arms like this, or whatever. And then you pick up those moves because, ultimately, imitation is one of the best forms of flattery. And the guys are more than happy to show you their move. Now, they don't want you to steal their signature move, but if it's something that's just as basic as, moving the hips, then yeah, that's absolutely the best way to go about it.
Yeah, yep. And then once you start getting your sea legs or dancer feet underneath you, and the time is right, then they'll move you on the main stage, which might also be a progression. It might be one of those things where you start main stage at the beginning of the night, but you might not go up prime time if the club is packed, because we don't want the momentum of the show and the hype of the crowd to fade away. So that's something you have to be prepared for, which leads us into our next section, which is learning to dance. So a lot of people, actually I can't say a lot of people, I think it goes both ways. I think there's people that want to be male entertainers that have never danced a moment in their life, and I think there's people that grew up dancing. The fact of the matter is they all have a home at La Bear. It doesn't matter. We will train you to be where you need to be at. But to give you that leg up, the first two things you need to learn is A, how to be comfortable on stage and move. You don't want to be stiff and you don't want to move too much. You want to be able to move and look fluid and look comfortable in your own skin. That's extremely important. The second thing is counting music and choreography. All the guys that go up on stage have choreography that they do, whether they do it to lyrics or they do it to the beat or they do it by the numbers. It's very important and gives you a leg up when you already know how to do this. Once you learn, it doesn't matter if it's hip hop, country, ballroom dancing, swing dancing, does not matter. If you learn how to count music and count choreography, you'll be able to do it across the genres, which makes you more of an asset to the group and to the club in general, which helps you leg up. You have pretty good experience with this, correct, Axl?
I'm not sure I would use the word a good experience. I think I had a pretty strong learning curve, which turned out to, I think, make me a better person because it showed me that I came from a place of not knowing anything. I couldn't count the beats at all, and for whatever reason, it was skipped in my education, and I would try and I just couldn't. So I just had to listen to a bunch of stuff that had really strong beats at the start and just work on getting it, and then move up from there. And it's funny. Beforehand, I was a running back, and I could run down the field and do a spin and stuff like that at full speed, but I couldn't do a spin on stage.
That is a little weird.
It was very strange. But I think if I were to talk to any guys, I would say, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. It's normally the uncomfortable situations that end up being the most educational. And when you're willing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, you're willing to learn as well. Which is why I came from that spot of not being able to dance. And then even, I remember we were over at the 24-hour fitness, or no, the LA fitness right over here in Las Colinas, and we're sitting there working on choreography, and David Greenhouse is working with us, and I was like sitting there, and I was like, dude, what is, it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 2 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 3 4 3, and I'm like, what are you doing here? He was like, each 8 count, you just start the first one with the next one, and I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be embarrassed to ask questions because, okay, so you ask a question, you learn, and you learn something.
Yes, for sure. Very much so. And with that being said, go to classes. Go. Hip hop is probably your best bet just because it's one of the more difficult styles to pick up. It's fast paced, but don't be afraid to even go to a kid's hip hop class. And the important thing is not to learn every single thing they teach, but to learn the foundation of learning, if that makes sense. Like, you have to learn how to learn. Once you learn, I feel like I'm going to be saying learn to learn a lot, but once you learn how your brain works to absorb choreography, to count, then now you're giving yourself a leg up where you're going to start picking up choreography that much quicker.
There's actually a great book on this, and it's called The Art of Learning by Josh Waiskin. And he is who, if you've ever seen the movie, what is it? It's Finding Bobby Fischer.
Okay,
Yeah. He's the one that it's based off of. I believe his dad wrote a book on it, and then it got turned into a movie and stuff. And this guy, he was a super chess prodigy. And then he was like, okay, well, let me go do some other stuff. And so he studied with all of these people. And what he found out at the end is that he was, once he studied learning and how he learned, he was able to master all of these things through actually just knowing how to learn.
Yep.
Really fast. So that's actually a really good resource for people to check out.
Yep. I'll put it in the show notes. Just remember, or actually you can
Sure.
put it in the show notes right now. Let's see. So, next, unlike the female side of the house, the male side is actually very much required to promote and to get your name out there because we see such little traffic in the club without promotions. For example, in Dallas alone, I believe there's roughly about 8 female strip clubs, yet there's only 1 male strip club. It's just a numbers thing. People barely know. People that have grown up in Dallas barely know about it. So if we don't promote, then you're missing out on potential income as well as patrons that are just going to have a good time and can bring other people to the club. The overlap in that, though, is that much how women can work tables and sit with people and kind of generate instant rapport, we have to do that in a similar fashion, but a lot more condensed. We're not allowed to work tables, so they must come up to us. They approach us on main stage, approach us on side stages, and then there in those 30 seconds to 90 second intervals, we have to establish rapport. So you don't have time to be nervous, to be awkward, to be shy. You need to learn how to A, meet and introduce yourself to people, B, spark a conversation and hold a conversation, and C, be able to instruct them on what they are capable, what kind of fun they're capable of having. Because plenty of people that come in on the first time don't know about table dances, don't know about VIPs. So you really need to learn how to come out of your shell and just instantly create conversation out of nowhere. Do you agree, Axl?
I agree. I wouldn't say that I'm that great at it, but inherently people that are better talkers do better just because people feel connected to them, which is an interesting thing when you consider that most conversations people feel more rapport building when somebody listens to them.
Yes.
Yet when you're in that position, usually it's better if you talk more and then reply with a few concise, well-worded riposte, as you might say, because you need to deliver the information and then be able to have more in-depth conversations elsewhere, because side stage isn't the place to have a long drawn-out conversation.
Correct. It's more, less is more, but you want to capitalize on the time you have, which is something that you very much need to remember when you go to become a male entertainer, is that time is money. And the more time you give for less amount of money, then you are potentially shortchanging yourself as well as everyone else in the club. There's certain standards that are set up that it's hard to abide by. It really is tough when you first start, especially when you might not be the most social of people, but the rules have been established since almost time began as far as the male entertainment business goes, and they're there for a reason. It really does create a better environment for everyone, because the last thing you want to do is have a long drawn out conversation on side stage when you have a party package sitting on that side stage wondering why you're not entertaining them or why this random person is at their stage, et cetera, et cetera. So it's definitely something that you have to keep in mind, which is one of the biggest hurdles that a lot of new guys struggle with. I mean, I was called out on it as well when I first started.
Yeah, of course.
And I mean, it's one of those things where I use the rule that I kind of gave myself when I was younger. I got to the point where I started to get like my spider senses will start to tingle. I'm like, I feel like I've been talking too long. If I get that feeling, you're probably right.
Yeah.
And so it's just something to keep in mind. So you really want to maximize the little bit of time you have to talk to people.
You know, and it depends as well on who it is, because I have people that will come up and, I mean, if somebody just gives you an exorbitant amount of money, you're going to talk to them longer, like just flat out, you know, because they've paid you for your time up there, and, you know, they're being respectful of who you are and your time. But, you know, other people will come up and they will, you know, they'll really not want to give you anything.
Correct.
Expect your time. And that's, you know, really just unacceptable, because at the end of the day, this is a job.
The way to handle that, though, is simply to, once again, be understanding what tools are at your disposal, and you can literally, hey, you've given me quite a bit of money. How about we just do a table dance where then you know, I'm not allowed to be on side stage that long, so let's just go to table dance. It's more private, and then you have my undivided attention.
Exactly.
And it's the same or equivalent amount of money. So that's just another tool you can use when they're already spending more money.
Yeah.
And how I touched on in the beginning was social media. It's the new age. 90% of the world is electronic now, I feel like. I mean, companies are on social media. You know, they're on Instagrams. They have their Facebook pages. Movies are promoting on. They'll show a a Facebook page before they show their actual website. So with that, we have to evolve with the times. And so establishing a quote-unquote LeBear profile and stuff like that. I won't lie, I never had any social media until I began working at LeBear, but it's the new age. It's what you have to do. So I did it. And you really have to go out of your comfort zone or just normal routine to be a part of it. But you do. We are local celebrities, so to speak, in the sense that we don't have a fan club that does stuff for us. We don't have secretaries that do things for us. We don't have someone that manages a website for us. We do everything on our own. And you have to be prepared to dedicate that kind of time and effort and research to do it correctly.
Absolutely. You know, social media is a two-edged sword, especially for us. And, you know, I have my Axl Reigns account. I view it as that's a business account. I don't make political posts on there. I don't make posts that are really related to things other than my business. This is a business. I am a product. You know, just like, you know, Mark Wahlberg is his product. You know, or George Clooney, he is his product.
I actually follow both those guys on social media.
Do you?
Yeah.
Right. So for any new guys, I would say don't ever view it as, oh, hey, this is just me on social media. You know, you want to express yourself to a degree, because, yeah, people fall in love with personalities, but people fall out of love with people for personalities.
Very true.
You know, and so, you know, social media needs to be looked at as something that if this is your business, keep it your business. You know, I have all of my family blocked from my social media because they have differing views than I do about things. And I've had them in the past make comments on social media that aren't conducive to my business. And so that's really a key thing to, you know, keep in touch with, that if you post things out on social media that aren't conducive to your business, like this one time I think it was with my sister, she had come in town, and there was like a reflection in my glasses, and I took a picture in the car, and I within 30 minutes I had like a dozen different people who come see me being like, I'm never coming to see you again.
Oh yeah.
They're like, you never hang out with me like that. I'm like, it's my sister. She lives 6 hours away. She came to visit me.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we go get a sandwich? Can I take her to lunch?
Very true, very true.
So you just have to be really careful about things, and and I should have thrown it in the title of going to get lunch with my sister or something, but people don't read that all the time, and they make preemptive decisions that aren't rational at times, and so that's what I would tell.
What's that one meme? A jealous girlfriend has the investigative skills of the FBI.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's just something to remember.
Yes, and you'll learn that. Ask plenty of questions from the guys that have been doing it. I'm learning myself still, as people recently know. I've had an extreme exponential influx of social media because that's part of what you have to do, and I've wanted to take it serious, and I don't half step it like like everything else I take on. You want to lead us into our next category, Axl?
Sure. Dancing was hard for me as far as it's really about what fits you, and I'm from Arkansas, and everybody wanted me to do the country thing at the club, but I didn't want to do the country thing because I had grown up on a farm. I'd worked on a farm. I'd done a lot of work, tossed a lot of hay bales. I was tired of that.
Yeah.
So figuring out who you are as a dancer is essential to building a brand, and it's essential to know who you are, how you are, what you're going to do, your look, your style, the music that you're going to play, how you're going to move to it, how you're going to find rhythm with it, and how it synergistically works with you, because it's got to be complementary, and obviously you have to worry about how popular each category is, because some nights you may not have any country girls in the house. Now that's rare because we're in Texas, but if you're super into hip hop, you may have a night that it's all country girls, and you may not do so well. So you have to find a balance between all that. How do you feel about that?
I think that's something a little more for the veterans and the people that have begun to they already know who they are. And I say that because you've had those new guys that kind of try to be it all, and a little bit of everything and not enough of anything. And so I feel like the first step should be to figure out who you are, much like how you did, where you knew you didn't want to do country. And so you find what you're comfortable with, because there's so much good stuff going on that's going to go in through your head. Last thing you need to do is kind of reinvent yourself. So, pick a look, pick a style, pick something that you feel confident in, because that's the number one seller on stage is your confidence. Yes. And then have your music fit that look and feel initially with taste. Obviously we don't want like gangster rap or death metal or anything like that, because it's too niche. You want stuff that's generalized, but when you establish that first initial profile, then you're able to slowly build on it. Like, okay, I can control me. I know what, like you said, what brand I want to be.
It's a foundation.
Yes. And then from there that's step one. Then from there you can build on, like, hey, I'm a rocker that could sometimes do country, or like you said, or hey, it's a Latin crowd, so let's throw in some Latin. But the last thing you want to do is be like, walk in there and be 100% city slicker, and then be like, oh wait, like we're in Texas, so I want to do country, and your cowboy hat looks wrong, or you dance awkward, or the look doesn't, and you don't feel comfortable in the clothes. So that's why it's really, really important to figure out who you are and establish that initial style before branching out. So I do agree with you on the respects that eventually you will have to kind of bleed over to be a jack of all trades, because we help each other out. You and I both help Tyler out when he does cowboy.
Right.
And we both play the part just fine. I've had plenty of people tell me, like, I would have never thought you would have made a good cowboy, but damn. So
Yeah.
It's but I disagree with you in the fact that I feel like initially you need to be hyper focused until you get your feet underneath you.
Yeah, that that certainly makes sense. It's one of those things where I think everybody just plays around with, but you're talking about playing with your money. So I guess I could come over and say, yeah, I would be more hyper focused initially, but as a person, I'm not a very hyper focused person on a single thing, and so as you know, I like to bleed into everything.
Yeah, but
but I think my transition to a dancer probably would have been easier if I had taken the hyper focused approach to saying I'm going to be good at one thing and then expand outward.
You've been caught in it once or twice, much like I have. Like, you've grown a beard, I've grown a beard, we've both grown our hair out.
Yeah.
And from week to week, sometimes night to night, you could be like, oh, I wish I shaved my head, or oh, I wish, So and
all the time.
And if you don't have that foundation to bounce back from and understand, like, hey, I've had long hair, it's made me money, it's lost me money. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not, this is just one night type thing. You could easily get caught in that trap where every week you're like, oh, I'm going to play hip hop. Oh, no, I'm bad. Okay, I'm going to play rock. Oh, no, I'm going to try. And you get just wound up in that tornado and you never find your base again.
Yeah.
So the last thing we want to go ahead and end this topic with is the fact the number one rule or just theory or ideology or principle I feel helps people the most is greed is a major problem. It will break you because you just end up doing stuff that you normally wouldn't do. So the best thing to remember, and something that I try to remind myself all the time about, whether I need it or not, is the fact that you want to earn the money. You don't deserve the money. You deserve it later on by earning it. You put on a good show. You treat people correctly. You respect people, both the other dancers, yourself, and the women. And through that, you will earn their money because they want to give it to you. And if you keep that mentality, you'll never be questioned or caught as arrogant or greedy or selfish. And that's really what goes the distance in this line of work, I feel.
I would 100% agree and 100% disagree. That it depends on your strategy, on how long you, A, want to dance, and B, what you want to get out of dancing and being a dancer. I personally, morally and ethically think that absolutely 100%. Don't be greedy. Care about people. Just care about people, Mm-hmm. Like earlier today, I was looking up, stuff about driving down to Houston and trying to get involved with the rescue stuff, like just love your fellow humans and enjoy people. But I will also say that I think if you're only in it for a short run, then I've seen people make a lot of money by being greedy. But I've also seen them not last very long or do very well or ethically fall off. And so what you're talking about with the long game, absolutely.
You're essentially burning the candle from both ends.
Yeah, and ethically, unless you're just a total sociopath who has no empathy for other people, then it's going to take an emotional and ethical toll on you. And flat out, I mean, I think we can all agree that it's just wrong to be greedy. So yeah, earn your money. I'm happy to say I think both of us have always been pretty solid on that foundation of like just earn your money, do your job.
Yep.
Do your job and build good relationships because that's what it's about. And at the end, you can leave with some really unique, beautiful relationships that are awesome.
Well put, sir. All right. Well, I think that puts a bow on this show. Let's go ahead and move right into the worst and best events of the week. So my worst event actually happened last night. So there was a group of women, 4 on a table, and 2 of them liked me. They tipped me fairly a few amount of times on side stage and main stages. No dances or anything like that, but that's fine. Then at the end of the night, after work, I was leaving, going to my car. They happened to park near me. I walked by them on the way to my vehicle, and so the birthday girl, which happened to be a somewhere in her 50s-year-old woman that had half her head shaved, because that's the fad right now, loved me, obviously because I have the same similar hair. So she yelled at me and stopped me, so I went to go give her a hug. The other younger female, I believe her daughter or granddaughter, that liked me, decided to stay in the car and was just bad-mouthing her, like, I know you're not hugging on my man and stuff like that. That's just wrong. And so I waved on her, and all of a sudden, girl number 3 runs out of the car in her wedges, rushing towards me. I'm like, I don't know if she's coming to grab her grandma or what, because her grandma seemed a little intoxicated by that point. And she comes up to me, and then she's like, oh, I'm getting a hug. And I just kind of looked at her. I was like, oh, you're getting a hug, are you? And she was like, yeah. And she just had this entitledness to her. And I kind of looked at her, and I was like, how come this is the first time I'm seeing you? And she's like, oh, well, you know, I just had things to do. I'm like, well, it looks like I got things to do tonight too. Like, I would have loved to, you know, $1 or $2. And then obviously grandma's not picking up anything because she's still inebriated. And girl number 2 is all like, you know, oh, you're trying to get, that's messed up that both of you are all up on my man. I'm like, is everybody drunk? Like, what's going on? So finally, I kind of give in a little bit. She kind of gets this appalled look on her face, and I finally give in a little bit. And you know I have a reputation for my hugs. So I made it a point to just give her the old church hug. Like, I turned to the side, patted her in the back.
Yeah, the ass out.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, here's a hug. And then she even looked a little disappointed, but I'm like, I'm sorry for you. You were in there all night because I met you guys on my first stage.
Right.
And you couldn't give me $2 all night, but by God, you're going to run in your wedges to come get your hug? Yeah, no, sorry for you.
So which one of the 3 Stooges ended up driving?
There was a 4th one.
Oh.
So I believe she was
Sober
driving.
number 4?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Well, I mean, believe it or not, the girl that liked me was a minor too, but considering the way she was talking, I kind of questioned it. And I believe there's that weird law in Texas where if, like, your parent is there, you can drink. So
Well, that's a law, but we don't... many Texas establishments are allowed to say, no, we're not going to do that.
Okay, cool, perfect.
And I am nearly 100% that LeBaire does not go with that, just because legally you don't want to ever run into anything, and it's a much safer thing. So,
Yeah, and like I said, maybe she was just young and that's how she was acting.
Or just brought a bottle in the purse or something.
True story. So what's your worst event, Axl?
Well, I'm going to go back a few years. I wasn't really at the club the last several weeks very much. So I'm going to go back to about 3 years ago and tell this story. I was on stage, and it's a night that Cole was actually working as a manager. And I'm going down, I'm like doing silks too, and like doing my show, and I lean down, and this girl just comes in, and she, I mean, she's got like $3, so she sticks like $3 in there, and then she just comes up to my chest and just bites it. And I'm talking like bites really hard.
Rabid dog style.
Like hard enough, and she's just so intoxicated. So it gets to the point that I have to like take her forehead with my hand and like
break her off you.
Break her off of me, and she like stumbles back and like looks at me dumbfounded that I would like push her off of me, and then she falls and she hits her butt. Yeah, and her whole, you know, the girls surrounding her are like, oh my gosh, you know, that's terrible. I can't believe you did that. And I'm like, y'all need to leave right now. Like, that is uncalled for. Like, look at my chest.
Yeah, you just point to your chest, be like, the teeth marks are uncalled for.
And I get called off, like, pretty much immediately. And I go to the back, and I'm just fuming. And then Cole comes back there, and he was managing. He was like, dude, did you just, like, push a girl and, like, cause her to fall? He was like, they're about to call the cops. And I was like, look at my chest. Yeah. You know, and I got blood running down my chest at this point. You know, broke the skin and everything. And... And so he goes back out there and he's like, look, did you bite him? And she's like, well, aren't we allowed to? He's like, these are people. Yeah. What are these? Are these bite toys? Yeah. He was like, honestly, we should call the police on you. That was self-defense. You just assaulted him. And she was like, really? And he was like, yes, actually, you need to, you know, like, sit down.
Yeah.
We're going to tolerate you being here. We're not going to kick you out immediately. Don't go near him. And yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. That's exactly the kind of responses we see sometimes. Aren't we allowed to? What? Where in this today's society do you think it's perfectly okay to bite somebody?
I don't know. I was wondering. Afterwards, I kind of thought about going and getting a rabies shot. I was a little scared, but
you always have to worry about that. when like at the moment you react a certain way, but then when you think about it, you're like, wait,
did I just get HIV? What happened?
Well, you're sitting there and like, wait, they think that was okay. So what? It's kind of like the people that are like, why don't you kiss me? Yeah, it's kind of like if you're trying to kiss me, like how many other people have you kissed tonight? But people don't think about that.
Dude, I have horror stories of having girls talk to me that we're like platonic friends, but then they have like other guys that they like.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I just made out with this guy, and then they go on a date with another guy outside of the club. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like what is happening here?
All right, well, moving on to the best events. Yeah. On a lighter note, I recently just ordered reality show shirts for my reality show. And to my surprise, they were actually welcomed very well by both the public and the guys. I ended up getting enough to give the participants of the show free, and they have their names in the back. All of them are named along the back, including DJ XL. And it just, it was just another adventure that I figured I'd get a small amount and try it out and see what happens. And immediately I had people messaging me saying that they wanted them. And the guys were super stoked that they got shirts. So, I mean, it's not a lot. It's a little thing, but it's a little thing that kind of, like, man, it warmed me up, not going to lie. And to go with that, when I donated the school supplies from the Red Party, it was one thing to hear them be appreciative over the phone, but actually dropping them off and watching the entire office just be like, oh my God, that is so much stuff. Thank you so much. Like, some didn't even know what to say. Like, that really, really let me know that any headaches or effort or whatever it went, it was really worth it.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty neat, man. How about you?
Well, I haven't been there, but I went to a conference in New Orleans last week and ended up meeting Dominic D'Agostino, who is this awesome research scientist at the University of South Florida. He's also a research scientist at the Institute for Human and Machine Cognition.
Oh, wow.
Dude, he's a rock star. I mean, just a rock star. I mean, he's been on the Tim Ferriss Show and Ben Greenfield Fitness and, like all these podcasts. I mean, this dude has worked with NASA on his most recent research study, pulling things underwater and stuff, and just super, super cool. So that was, like I'm walking up, palms are sweaty, and I'm like wiping them on my pants, voice is trembling a little bit. So that was pretty cool. That was like meeting one of my top celebrities.
No, it really is neat. Like I'm not one to be starstruck, but I still appreciate the experience, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not gonna fangirl out or rush up to him. And if the opportunity presents itself where I can meet them, like for example, when I was still in the Army, Mel Gibson, when he were filming We Were Soldiers, came out to our unit for like a familiarization training for like 2 or 3 days. So I, of course, being still, I think, just a team leader, was not able to directly meet them. But I mean, they were training with my company, so I was, I could touch them if I wanted to and stuff. So it was really neat to like, oh wow, that's Mel Gibson. It's super cool. So the fact that you were actually able to even interact with someone that you look up to, it's a great experience. It definitely kind of
really is, and just super nice guy, just super nice. Like I was nervous meeting him, and I'm not one to like fanboy out or anything either. And I actually saw him check into the hotel at like 12 o'clock, and I could have gone over and like bombarded him and just waited till he was like kind of alone one time. But that was awesome.
Yeah, I just have even more so getting to travel a little bit with Joe Manganiello. Now it's even worse because I
wasn't ever like
Well, I was with him when that awkward stuff would happen, and like sometimes he was totally cool about it, but then sometimes it was like we were mid conversation and he would just see someone hovering politely, waiting for the break in the conversation, but he's like, all right, hey, what's up? Yeah. So it's like now seeing that, I definitely don't want to be that other person.
I don't want to either, ever.
Sweet. So where can people catch you on social media, Axl?
Well, got a little bit of news to announce. I'm actually going to be moving back to Arkansas.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, so I'm actually not going to be at LeBaron except for special appearances anymore. So I'm starting some businesses with my family and doing some stuff like that. So I'm actually going to be starting some new social media because I'm going to be starting a podcast. My pen name is going to be Zaylen James, and that's going to be my podcasting name as well.
Okay. Man, I'm sorry to hear you go, but I'm glad to see it's off to greener pastures and things that you're passionate about.
Well, hopefully. So the podcast is going to cover all sorts of stuff. But yeah, so that's Zaylen, which is Zaelin, James, James. And that's going to be at pretty much all social media. And then I just bought the website of Zaelin.blog, Zaelin.blog. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing.
Awesome, man. Glad to hear it. Well, definitely, listeners, check it out. See what Axl's up-and-coming adventures are. And stay tuned for other things coming from both him and myself. We'll keep you in tune and up to date on his books and other stuff like that because he's a good friend of mine and I enjoy having him on the show. So with that, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for being on the show, Axl. Much appreciated.
Absolutely.
And we will catch you guys next time.